Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wave. I'm Coach Andre, and today we're turning our attention to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll cover everything you need to know about their offseason plans, starting with a recap of the 2024-25 season, then diving into their roster makeup, contract situations, and draft assets. We'll also break down their salary cap outlook, top priorities, and what moves the front office could be considering as they look to build on a record-setting year and tackle some lingering playoff questions. Hey, look, listen. Whether you're a lifelong Cavs fan or just love analyzing NBA team strategies, this episode will bring you up to speed on all things Cleveland and what to watch for as the offseason heats up. Let's jump right into it. The Cleveland Cavaliers wrapped up the 2024-25 season with a franchise best 64-18 record, seizing the top seed in the Eastern Conference and rewriting the team's history books. And this by no means was a fluke. It was the payoff of a deep, balanced roster and a relentless, high-octane offense. The Cavs finished among the league's elite in nearly every key metric. They averaged 121.9 points per game. They shot a blistering 49.1% from the field and led the NBA with a 38.3% clip from behind the arc. Their net rating, fueled by two separate 15-game winning streaks, made it clear. Cleveland was a juggernaut from the beginning of the season all the way through. Of course, Donovan Mitchell was the engine that powered this run. He averaged 26.6 points per game, set career highs across the board, and delivered in the biggest moments. And despite losing against Indiana in 5, he actually closed out that series with a 35-point game himself. It was obvious that Mitchell's leadership, both on and off the court, set the tone for the team that finally looked ready to take the next step. Along with Donovan Mitchell came Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley emerged as the Cavs' defensive anchor, earning his first All-Star nod and becoming the youngest defensive player since Dwight Howard. Mobley averaged 1.6 blocks, 9.3 rebounds, and 18.5 points per game, and his ability to control the paint and switch onto guards was the backbone of the Cavs' top-tier defense. Of course, we can't forget about Darius Garland. Garland orchestrated the offense with 6.7 assists per game. Along with Garland came Jarrett Allen, who dominated on the glass and shot over 70% from the field. And the bench, which was one of their weaknesses in past years, turned into one of their strengths, pumping in nearly 40 points a night and hitting threes at a 38% clip. New head coach Kenny Atkinson unlocked the full potential of their roster, blending star power with depth and making the Cavs one of the league's most complete teams. The Cavs even got aggressive before the trade deadline, trading for DeAndre Hunter to give them more scoring power off the bench. But with all their moves and dominance in the regular season, the playoffs exposed some lingering flaws. After sweeping Miami in the first round, punctuated by a 55-point demolition in Game 5, the Cavs ran into a physical Indiana Pacers squad and fell in 5 games. Their three-point shooting dried up, the bench went cold, and the offense stalled under postseason pressure. The loss was a harsh reminder that regular season brilliance doesn't always translate to playoff success. Still yet, the foundation is rock solid. Mitchell and Mobley have proven they're the core to build around, and the front office has the flexibility and assets to tweak the supporting cast. The challenge is now clear. Address the gaps, find more reliable shooting and playoff toughness, and turn this historic season into a springboard for a real championship push. I think Cavs Nation would agree with this, but with this much talent and momentum, Cleveland can't afford to settle for anything less than a championship. Love NBA analysis? Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you're always first to see every team's offseason outlook. Join the wave and don't miss a single episode. Looking ahead to next season, the Cavaliers roster is a blend of established stars, ascending young talent, and strategic veteran depth, giving Cleveland one of the most formidable lineups in the league as they aim to build on their historic 64-win season. The projected starting lineup, of course, is Darius Garland at point, the floor general who averaged over 20 points and nearly 7 assists per game. Then you have Donovan Mitchell at shooting guard, the team's leading scorer and emotional leader, coming off another All-Star season and a string of clutch playoff performances. Then we have Max Strus on the wing, providing essential floor spacing and secondary playmaking, while knocking down threes at an elite rate. We have Evan Mobley at power forward, the newly crowned Defensive Player of the Year, who averaged 18.5 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks, anchoring the defense and showing continued growth as a two-way star. And of course, you have Jarrett Allen in the middle, the reliable rim protector and rebounder. Like we mentioned, he's shooting over 70% from the field and giving the Cavs a physical presence on the inside. Off the bench, we have defensive intensity and the ability to guard multiple positions with Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade. The newly acquired DeAndre Hunter, who they got before the trade deadline, adds two-way versatility. Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill offer shooting and steady ball handling, while Craig Porter injects energy and hustle when he's called upon. And of course, you have Tristan Thompson giving them the veteran leadership and playoff experience. And to round off the roster, we have Jalen Tyson and Javonte Green with athleticism and defensive upside. The depth doesn't stop there. The Cavs' depth even extends to two-way and developmental players such as Imani Bates, Luke Travers, and Naquan Tomlin, young pieces who can grow into larger roles or serve as valuable trade assets. There's no denying this roster's strength: an all-star backcourt, an elite defensive frontcourt, and a supporting cast that can stretch the floor and defend at a high level. This team's continuity, combined with the flexibility to make targeted upgrades, put them in a strong position to contend. Yet, challenges do remain. The Cavs' playoff exit exposed the need for more reliable shooting under pressure, additional bench scoring, and greater physicality against tougher postseason opponents. With most of the core locked in and several expiring contracts on the books, the front office faces critical decisions. Would they package depth for another high-impact piece, target veteran shooters, or trust internal development to close the gaps? There's one thing that we all know is certain: the Cavaliers are built to win right now, but the margin for error is slim. This offseason is a chance to turn a record-setting year into a championship window, and the moves they make next could define their franchise for years to come. When it comes to draft capital, the Cavaliers are entering the 2025 NBA draft in a much different position than many of their Eastern Conference rivals. Because of that trade to bring Donovan Mitchell over to Cleveland, the Cavaliers won't have their first-round pick this year. Because of terms and conditions on specific trades, the Cavs pick actually will belong to the Phoenix Suns, as they had the second-best record in the league, placing them at the 29th pick in the 2025 draft. But that doesn't mean that the Cavs won't be at draft night. The front office still holds 2 second-round picks, their own and another via Milwaukee, giving them the selection at 49th and 58th. Sure, those aren't the best picks, but for a team with an expensive, veteran-heavy roster, finding value late in the draft is more important than ever. Of course, they could target overlooked prospects. The Cavs could target overlooked prospects who fit a specific need, like frontcourt depth behind Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Names like Alex Condon have surfaced as ideal second-round targets. A traditional big with defensive versatility and a proven track record in winning at high stakes. The Cavs could hope that teams overlook this kid and they could try to snag him in a second-round pick. The Cavs can also package 1 or 2 of their second-rounders to move up a few spots if they really find someone that they really like. Of course, because they don't have a first-round pick, their leverage is rather limited here. The Cavs could also use their second-round picks to stash international prospects as well. You gotta be honest here. Developmental minutes will be scarce because this is a contending roster. One thing is true. In recent history, the Cavs have unearthed rotation players outside the first round. Dean Wade and Craig Porter are prime examples. Their scouting team is going to have to work even harder to find another gem who can contribute on a cheaper contract. But the weakness is rather clear. Without a first-round pick, the Cavs have little margin for error and limited flexibility to make a splashy move on draft night. Their focus will be on maximizing whatever value they can extract from the second round, or potentially using those picks as sweeteners in minor trades. For a team trying to win a championship, every move counts, and how Cleveland uses its modest draft capital could make the difference between staying in contention or falling behind. Now let's look at the salary cap. The Cavs enter free agency in a much tighter spot than most teams. The Cavs' projected payroll for 2025-26 is set to soar past $209 million, which would put them not just over the cap and luxury tax, but firmly above the first and second apron. That means the Cavs are operating with a negative $53.7 million in cap space and have almost no financial flexibility to chase outside free agents or make splashy signings. Instead, the front office is locked into the core. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen are all on max or near max contracts, with new deals for Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter only adding to the bill. This group gives Cleveland one of the most talented and stable starting lineups in the league, but keeping them together comes at a steep cost. The Cavs will have 11 players under contract, but adding to that core is going to be extremely difficult. Here's what that means for the offseason. No mid-level or biannual exceptions. Being over the second apron strips Cleveland of the ability to use tools to add free agents above the minimum. The Cavs can only sign players to minimum contracts, which limits their ability to add impact talent from outside. The Cavs can't add together salaries and trades, send out cash, or use the trade exceptions from previous years. On the bright side though, Cleveland won't be paying repeater tax rates just yet, so the financial penalties, while steep, aren't at their harshest. The ownership group has shown that they have a willingness to pay for a contender, and the Cavs' window to win is absolutely right now. It's looking like Cleveland is most likely going to run back this roster. That means the front office has to focus on internal development, bargain signings, and finding value at margins. We can now pivot our focus to the front office and coaching. The front office is coming off of historic highs and renewed scrutiny. Koby Altman, who overseen the construction of this contending team, is widely credited for assembling the core of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. Under his reign, the Cavs jumped to a franchise-best 64 wins with the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, earning the front office a top 10 league ranking for its work that year. Yet, Altman has made it clear, with great regular season success comes even higher expectations. After another second-round exit, he's emphasized that the new standard in Cleveland is a championship run, not just a strong regular season. He's challenged the organization to get over the hump and acknowledged that the pressure is now on to turn this talented, youthful core into a true finals threat. Altman has also shown signs of patience and continuity, saying the team is unlikely to make major changes this summer and will keep building around Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, and Allen. On the coaching side of things, Kenny Atkinson made an instant impact in his first year as head coach. Atkinson guided the Cavs to their best record since the LeBron era and was named Coach of the Year for the 2024-25 season. He's been praised by peers for his modern approach and ability to elevate his players' performance. After the playoff loss to Indiana, Atkinson has reportedly made the film room his second home, rewatching the series multiple times to diagnose what went wrong and plotting adjustments for next season. He's not on the hot seat or anything, but the expectation is clear. Regular season wins aren't enough, and the focus now shifts to postseason breakthroughs. The Cavs front office and coaching staff are highly respected and stable, but the bar has been raised. The Cavs do have the infrastructure of a contender, but the pressure is on for them to turn regular season dominance into a deep playoff run. Looking at the team needs, Cleveland's priorities for reaching the NBA Finals are straightforward. Despite a 64-win season, the Cavs' playoff run was cut short by issues that must be addressed if they want to take the next step. Injuries to key starters like Darius Garland and DeAndre Hunter exposed Cleveland's lack of dependable bench options. When the rotation was stretched, the offense stalled and defensive intensity dropped. The Cavs need to add more battle-tested reserves who can keep the team afloat when stars are sidelined. Cleveland's perimeter defense was a persistent weakness as well, especially against elite shooting teams. The Cavs allowed opponents to hit 35.9 from 3, which ranked them 13th in the NBA, and gave up 13.5 made threes a game. In their worst outing, they surrendered 22 threes to Boston in a single game. This vulnerability was magnified in the playoffs, where opponents consistently found open looks from deep. Improving their ability to contest shots and contain dribble penetration on the perimeter is essential. And lastly was their mental toughness. When adversity struck, the Cavs struggled to maintain composure and close out games. They blew double-digit leads and looked rattled under playoff pressure. Developing a stronger, more resilient mindset will be crucial for surviving the grind of a deep postseason run. It's pretty clear that this offseason is about finding those difference makers who can help the Cavs withstand injuries, defend the arc, and execute when the stakes are highest. When thinking of X factors and wildcards, Darius Garland's bounce back does come to mind. When you think about it, Garland is the biggest X factor for Cleveland. After battling injuries and posting just 35% from the 3 in the playoffs, a return to his all-star form could transform the Cavs' offense. If he can rediscover his catch-and-shoot rhythm and playmaking, the backcourt could go back to being one of the league's most explosive. Other X factors are bench development, specifically with Craig Porter Jr. and Jalen Tyson. Like we mentioned, their internal development is key. Craig Porter Jr. flashed efficiency and toughness in spot minutes, and if he can improve his perimeter shot, he can become a steady backup guard. Jalen Tyson, who showed strong per 36 numbers, is another wild card. His size and versatility can make him a valuable rotation piece if given the opportunity. Another factor would be a backup front court upgrade. Tristan Thompson's a good veteran to have on the team, but with a true lack of backup big in the playoffs, it proved a weakness. If the Cavs can get a guy who can hold down the fort when Mobley and Allen hits, it can quietly swing key games. A guy like Reith, who shot over 32% from 3 in limited minutes last year, would perfectly fit this mold. And like we mentioned, Emoni Bates with his potential breakout. As we know, Bates, a former top prospect, nearly averaged 25 points per game in the G League last season. If he can earn rotation minutes and bring his shot making to the NBA level, he can fill Cleveland's need for a long athletic wing who can create his own offense and defend multiple spots. The Cavs' ceiling can be determined by Garland's resurgence, the emergence of young bench talent, and whether a backup big or breakout wing can fill key gaps. With these key factors and wildcards, the Cavs do have the ingredient for a deep playoff run like we mentioned. Now let's look at their outlook for 25-26. Looking ahead, the Cleveland Cavaliers are still firmly in the contender conversation, but the window is narrowing and everyone in the organization does know that. After a 64-win regular season that raised expectations to championship or bust levels, the Cavs' second-round collapse against Indiana was a gut punch that exposed the limits of this roster and the urgency of the moment. On paper, Cleveland checks almost every box. Donovan Mitchell is still an All-NBA force. Evan Mobley is the Defensive Player of the Year, and Darius Garland and Jarrett Allen round out a core that's as talented as any in the East. The team's chemistry, continuity, and top 10 marks on both ends of the floor make them a legitimate threat to make a run for the finals next year. If this group can stay healthy and find the mental edge they lacked in the 2024-25 playoffs, they absolutely have enough to win it all. But the reality is that this roster is expensive, inflexible, and running out of time. The Cavs are locked into the second apron with no meaningful way to add outside talent or make big trades. The front office has little choice but to run it back with this group and hope that the tweaks on the margins, such as bench upgrades, internal development, and better health, could push them over the top. The pressure is enormous. After 3 straight years of being bounced out of the playoffs in the second round, anything less than a finals appearance will be viewed as a failure. Even if the Cavs do break through, a long-term outlook does look cloudy. With so much money tied up in Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, and Allen, it's hard to see how Cleveland could afford to keep everyone much longer. Role players like Max Strus and Isaac Okoro could be cap casualties, and the Cavs have minimal draft capital to replenish the pipeline. I think that the front office should start thinking of a contingency plan, whether that means stockpiling assets, developing young talent, or preparing for a future without one of their stars, much like they had to do when LeBron left. Cavs are still good enough to win it all next season, but the margin for error is razor thin. The pressure is on to seize the moment, because whether they win or fall short, this era is nearing its end. The Cavs can't afford to be caught flat-footed here, especially when the bill for contention comes due. I think it's time for them to start planning for what's new now. And with that, that's a full rundown of where the Cleveland Cavaliers stand as they enter one of the most pivotal offseasons in franchise history. This team is still loaded with top-tier talent, a battle-tested core, and the kind of continuity most contenders envy. But they're also staring down a shrinking window, a sky-high payroll, and some of the toughest decisions they've faced since the LeBron era. The front office has been bold and aggressive to get to this point, but now it's about finding that final edge, whether it's shoring up the bench, tightening the defense, or preparing for what comes next if the current formula runs its course. Will the Cavs finally break through and deliver the deep playoff run this city craves? Or will this era end with more what-ifs than banners? With the pressure mounting and the future uncertain, every move from here on out matters. Hey, look, listen, if you enjoyed the deep dive, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of The Wave. I want to know your thoughts in the comments. What should Cleveland's next move be? And which Cavalier do you think is key to taking that next step? I'm your host, Coach Andre, and you're watching The Wave. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.